Welcome to Awakening. Awakening is meant to do something inside of you to inspire you, challenge your worldview, cause you to get better. In some way, my hope is at the end of this time that something of value has been added to your life, something that you can apply, something that you can change, make better in life, right? Because I believe that we're all here to make a difference in the world, right? That we're to be others focused. And so if you want to be challenged, if you want to grow, if you want to make a difference in the world, I think Awakening is meant to be for you because it counteracts the dead man walking syndrome, right? Where we just kind of go through the motions and we're just kind of like one day after another. And it's that just the rat race, right? And you're on the runner and it's just going and going and going. And it's like, you got to get off of that thing. Right? And you got to start living life because being an automaton is not living life or just being comfortable or just going through the motions, however you want to say that, right? The monotony of life can sap the life right out of you. And so Awakening is meant to be the antithesis of that. And so today, I want to have a little fun with you because I'm naming this Be an Imitator, Not an Imposter. and so I was thinking about this a lot because I was sitting there going, coming off of the last one that we just did, Awakening, where it's like live without a net. This idea to live without a net is a very scary thing. And I was thinking like the same thing's true. It's like you got to put yourself out there if you want to be great at something. And so many of us are so afraid because we haven't got it just right. We haven't polished it just enough. We haven't gotten far enough. We don't have enough skills, all of those things. Before we put ourselves out there, do you know that there's never been a human being that's just came out of the womb great? Like, you don't just become great the first time out of the box. It's going to feel awkward. You're going to feel like an imposter. But the key is be an imitator. On the front end, be an imitator. You ever thought of this? This is a very scary thought to me. Not all doctors or surgeons, probably a better example, got straight A's in medical school. Right? And that doesn't guarantee you much. But can you imagine the first time a surgeon had to do surgery? It's like, that's all great. All the academia, all the studying, everything that you practice for and study for. It's like all of a sudden, you got a real human being there, right? And so here we go. Give me a scalpel, right? It's like that person, the surgeon that you know today, 10 years later into their practice, that's done thousands of these surgeries, that's now they're considered to be great. They were not great for that first person, right? And I was just like, oh my gosh, how many of you actually ask questions like, is this your first surgery? So it's like, but all right, you got to put yourself out there. We're in March Madness, so I'm a basketball fan. I'm into March Madness, both the girls' side and the guys' side. And I was thinking about Caitlin Clark, right? Caitlin Clark, one of the greatest shooters of all time in the female game, right? And maybe period, right? I mean, she's that good. She didn't start off great. You know what I mean? Like, she could barely reach the hoop at one point in her life. It's like you've got to put yourself out into the game first before you become great. And so you're going to feel like an imposter. So what do? You imitate those that have gone before you. You imitate those that are great. So who do you? Steph Curry, greatest shooter on the men's side. You study him. You imitate him. You find out what does he do to practice every day? What are his fundamentals? You know what I mean? Like, great shooters have certain things that are in common that all great shooters have. So you want to imitate those behaviors, those practices, whatever those things are, you imitate them. And then you start to practice it and you start to do it yourself. And I'm just telling you, when you first start, it's going to feel awkward. And I'm a teacher by nature. I'm a coach. I love helping people learn new skills in life. And it's like, a lot of times people, like, when you give them something to work on, you give them something to do, they stop before the breakthrough because it didn't feel right. And it's like, guess what? You have to go through hours and hours of repeat the right things before it feels right. But that doesn't make it that it's not the right things to do. So you're going to become great over time. And guess what? When you first start out, you're imitating, but it's not yours yet. You're trying it on. You're figuring out as you go, and you're going to make a lot of mistakes, and you're going to fail often. If you let those things cripple you, you'll be the dead man walking syndrome. You're just going to figure out a way to get by in life. You're not going to become that person who constantly is improving, growing, learning, changing, wanting to make the world a better place. It just doesn't happen. But you can be that kind of person. And so you got to start imitating those people. How do they handle mistakes and failures? How do they keep getting back up? What do they do? I'm telling you right now, they put themselves back in the game. They put themselves back at risk. They live without a net, right? So why I like the athletic analogy of, say, a Steph Curry or Caitlin Clark, some of the best of all time, right? It's like they're on center court for the whole world to critique, for everyone to watch them potentially fail. Like I just watched that Iowa game the other day, and I'm like, every time Caitlin Clark shot, I'm sitting there, this girl defending her was like in her face playing great defense, and somehow the ball kept going in, and I'm sitting going, how is this possible? Well, first of all, there's something about gamesmanship, right? Like obviously there's the elite have like this it factor. I get it. But beyond that, it's the hours and the hours and the hours of preparation for that moment. And the willingness, this is what I want you to hear. It's the willingness to put yourself in the game. It's the willingness to put yourself out there to fail in front of millions of people. Now that's something, right? But the more you practice, the more you shoot and miss, the more that, you come down in the last shot of the game, you took the shot and you missed it. And then the next game, you have the same situation and you keep taking that shot. Most of us, I miss it, I failed, I didn't like how that felt. I felt like an imposter. I get all the critique. The next shot, it's up, nope, I pass it. I defer. The great ones don't defer. The great ones say, guess what? Sometimes I'm gonna make them, and sometimes I'm not, but I'm gonna be willing to take the shot. And so keep imitating whatever industry you're in, right? Like whether you're a nurse, a teacher, think about teachers. The first time you taught, you're not a good teacher. I don't care how gifted you are, how smart you are. You're not a good teacher yet. It takes years and hours of craft, like to work your craft and get better at it. And then in year 10, if you've done the work and you've done it day in, day out, practicing, you will become a great teacher, a great communicator. You'll reach students that others couldn't reach, right? And it's worth it. And this is the thing that you got to understand, like the risk reward here. It's like as you're imitating people and then you put yourself out there and you feel like an imposter, it feels gross. It doesn't feel good. But the more you risk it, because your why has to be greater than how you feel as an imposter, right? So when you put yourself out there as a teacher in the classroom and there's someone evaluating you and you fall on your face, that's not easy. But if you're going to get better, you got to put yourself back out there. And you got to put yourself back out there. And you got to keep putting yourself out there. But you can't just do that without putting in the work behind the scenes, right? All great people, whatever field they're in, they worked their tails off and they studied other people that did it well. And they learned what are the practices, what are the things, what are the skills, what are the habits, what are the intellectual properties, what are the things that I need to know that I gotta master in order to be great at what I want to do. All right. And so then your why has to be bigger than the hurdles, the obstacles, the failures, the mistakes, because you believe in what you're doing. One of the things that is so funny to me right now, I'm in a chess thing. Like I love playing chess, and it's borderline addiction. Some people say it's absolutely an addiction. But there's a thing called an ELO, and I don't even know what ELO stands for, but it's basically your rating. And depending on how fast the games are, you can play a 3-minute game, a 5-minute game, a 15 10-minute game, whatever. But you get a rating for those games. And I'm sitting in my living room by myself on my laptop. I'm not even playing a real person, right? Meaning I am playing a real person, but it's online. I can't see them. There's a board on the screen and you press a button, the thing moves. I'm nervous. I feel like an imposter, right? Like all of a sudden I'm moving up in the elo, and now I'm playing people that are higher rating than me, and I'm losing left and right. And I'm like, oh, I don't like how this feels. I feel like I'm getting worse, right? And guess what? Sometimes you get worse before you have a breakthrough. And if you're not willing to put yourself out there, you know what I do sometimes? I don't want to lose another game because of how it feels, that I watch a tutorial, right? Like I watch a YouTube video on how to get better at chess. And that's cool, like, because that's helpful. But keep putting yourself out there. Like sometimes it's like, I gotta risk losing in order to get better. And so I don't care where you're at in life, what you're doing, you've got to be willing to put yourself out there. And my thing over the years is like, just be authentic. Like this imposter syndrome, as you're imitating people, you're putting yourself out there. Like, so I communicate for a living, right? I'm a pastor of a church, and I put myself out there every week to try to help people apply biblical principles to their lives so their lives are better, that they can make a difference in the world. And it's like sometimes I'm studying things I'm not an expert on yet, but that doesn't mean like Sunday's coming. Every Sunday it keeps coming. I can't go, oh, you know, I don't feel prepped enough. I don't have enough experience here. I'm not an expert in the field yet. You know, someone else go, right? No. That's not how it works. You've got to rise above that and just be authentic. You want to counteract the imposter syndrome. It's like, be authentic. Like I'll say all the time, like as I'm teaching you all, I'm teaching myself. You know what I mean? If there's something that I'm learning new and I'm teaching on it, it's like building the bridge as you walk on it. It's like, I just got to be authentic. I got to just be who I am and say like, I'm learning this too. But that doesn't mean you cower back and not get in the game. So what is it in your life where you go, you know what? You start imitating people, you start practicing, you practice and you practice and you build the skills and you build the skills and you build the skills. But eventually you got to put yourself out there and keep putting yourself out there. That's the key. That's what's going to help you to get to those next levels. And when your why matters, like if you're, you know, a lot of the things that we do, if you're a teacher, nurse, doctor, a lot of different things, business owner, all these things, there's groups of people that are relying on you to be at the best, right? So show up prepared, equipped, do your best, practice, but put yourself in the game. And as you do that, you grow and you learn. As long as you stay humble and you have that learning attitude and you still have that courage to put yourself out there, you're going to see great things. Thanks for tuning in. You've been awakened. Peace out. Be blessed and be a blessing.